So my question is, if we have then violation of property rights via inflation, and property is the basis of all other human rights or civil liberties, whatever we want to call them, isn't inflation sort of destroying like the foundation itself of Western civilization? And if so, isn't there some moral or economic imperative here that we really do something about it?
Well, inflation has destroyed civilizations in the past. It has definitely taken down, historically, I'm talking,
Mm-hmm.
particularly in the medieval period and going back further into ancient history, you can find examples of regimes that were brought down in part because of inflation. I would argue that one of the things that brought down Henry VIII was actually the Great Debasement, where he basically he melted down the British pound and filled it with copper so that he could make more coins with the same amount of silver. And that was one of the reasons why and of course, there was runaway inflation of about 80% over 5 years in price increases for his population. This is one of the reasons why he was such a horribly unpopular king by the time he left. And if you look at a lot of countries that consistently have runaway inflation, they're absolutely unstable. They're constantly in political upheaval. So we haven't had inflation to the point where it's destabilizing outside of the 1970s in the post-war period. It has just been gradually chipping away at the value of our money and the worth of our work. But I do believe it is bad in a lot of ways. It breaks down the most powerful form of economic communication, which is the price signal.
Mm-hmm.
Friedman also said, I hope you don't mind me quoting Friedman.
Oh,
I know
yeah.
you're more of an Austrian guy.
I still like Friedman.
Right. He had a lot of great things to say. And one of them is he talks about how complicated it is to make a pencil. And he said,
Yes.
look, there are people in a lead mine, perhaps in Asia. There's someone in a rubber factory in the Midwest United States creating the eraser. There's somebody in a titanium mine producing the raw materials for the yellow paint. There's someone cutting down a tree in a forest in order to supply the lumber for the little pencil. And then there's some factory where it's all put together. And all these people are out there making a pencil. None of them really know they're making a pencil. I mean, they're just showing up for work because the wages signal to them that it's worth their time. It's the most optimal use of their day. And those who are transporting those raw materials, they don't know that it's going to become a pencil, but they're transporting it because the price signal is telling them that it is wanted. And then the consumer walks into the store and sees this pencil, and all the information about all those thousands of people who help make the pencil is embedded in a little 3-digit price.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what it costs for a pencil these days, but say a box of pencils is, $4.99. You're basically seeing all of that work that has gone into that, creating that box of pencils is communicated to you in a 3-digit price signal. If inflation, though, is like taking the antenna on those old televisions that we had growing up and shaking it around, and then the screen gets fuzzy and you can't hear your program anymore, it totally messes up the relations between buyers and sellers, borrowers and lenders, taxpayers and governments, wage earners and employers, because the language with which they're communicating the price is completely out of whack. And so it can lead to a major economic and interpersonal breakdown in a way that people don't really appreciate when they see the statistical report of the inflation number every month.
Yeah, excellent points there. And that essay that he's referring to, I Pencil, it's one of the best essays I've ever read, and it's exactly what you're describing. And yeah, it's how humans cooperate and interact at scale. If you distort that medium, then our action is thrown into disarray and disharmony. So,
right, absolutely.